On this week's episode, we're asking if 31 hours straight is way too much Marvel, what life was like as a Toys R Us kid, and will Tomb Raider break the video game movie curse? All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. On this week's episode, we're asking if 31 hours straight is way too much Marvel, what life was like as a Toys R Us kid, and will Tomb Raider break the video game curse? The video game movie curse. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. Yes, we are back once again. It's the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly want to thank you for for tuning in and listening into the show, and we just cannot thank you enough for doing so. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He is the man, the myth, the legend behind Humanica Media. You gotta check out all the great stuff going on today at humanicamedia.com that he's got cooking. It is the chef himself. It's Josh Peterson. What's going on, my friend?
I was trying to think of a Gordon Ramsay joke, but I didn't have time. You put me on the spot.
I know. I gotta make you think, man, because I don't. I used to on every episode set you up like it's the head chef of Humanica Media. It's the big man on campus at Humanica Media. Just trying to do something there. I try to throw that fireball. I don't prep him either on this when I do it, but
I need to just write some things down so I have like stock responses.
There you go. But it's going to be a great episode we have for everyone out there today. We've got Rob McCallum standing by in the Cosmic Crossfire. He's going to share his thoughts on the latest Fantastic Beasts movies the latest Fantastic Beasts movie that is coming out later this year. We're going to share thoughts on.
Or is it Fantastic Beats story about magic vegetables?
Well, it could be the way it's setting itself up but we are going to talk about the brand new trailer that just dropped in the Cosmic Crossfire, and Rob's going to share his thoughts on it, and I will as well. Also, later on in the program, Jessica Boggs from the TV Ratings Guide and TVRatingsGuide.com. She's going to be talking more great TV ratings news about some of the shows that she's really following in the TV scene, and that's going to be coming up later in the program. Plus, we'll be talking about the Marvel Marathon that's coming out just before the Infinity War hits, and also as well our Toys R Us memories, obviously due to the closing of the Toys R Us stores that was announced and the liquidation that's now taking place because of it. So sad times for Toys R Us, and we'll be going into that a little bit more in detail later on in the show. But first, Josh, it is here the next 3 weeks. I'm going to say it like this. I think we've got, these are not AAA blockbusters, but they're like AA blockbusters as far as in that next tier of movies that are have some expectations on them, but they're not super huge like they are for Black Panther, which obviously even exceeded those because it's done so well at the box office. But the first of those 3 movies coming out in successive weeks is Tomb Raider. Once again, the video game adaptation, which actually resembles more like the modern video game reboot of the series that came out, I think it was 2012, if I'm not mistaken. But your thoughts on it? I'm going to tell you right now, Rotten Tomatoes has it at right around the 50% mark. So the reviews are extremely mixed on the actual movie itself. But what are your hopes and what are your prospects, you think, as far as the movie finding some kind of success and maybe even ever so slightly, possibly breaking that video game movie curse?
Well, here's the thing with that. It's like when we were talking about Assassin's Creed, critics go into these video game adaptation films wanting to hate them because if they hate them and they write about it, people will read it. So that's just, that's the way the news cycle works. So You
And you
know,
were one of the few that actually did enjoy, and you wrote about how you enjoyed the Assassin's Creed movie, even though it was universally panned by so many others.
yeah, and that's kind of what irks me is that people, because of the stigma that video game to film adaptations have, people go in, they want them to be bad. There's no I mean, when it comes to like judging these films, there's no objectivity. Granted, I haven't seen the movie yet, but you know, the reviews that I have read, at least from the sources that are more like nerd sources, you know, like you know, IO9 and Gizmodo and Kotaku, Polygon, etc., people who actually sources actually play games, you know, they thought that it was okay. I mean, they're mixed about it. Some said that they is weird. They said that they liked it, but they didn't like it. It was a good movie, but it wasn't a good movie. So they're like 50-50 on it, whereas, you know, regular critics are just bashing it. But you know, everyone seems to be in agreement that Alicia Vikander is like really good in the role. So I'm just hoping that it captures some essence of the game and it's not completely over the top like the original Tomb Raiders were. But you know, the source material is so great, especially with these reboots, like you know, from the Xbox One games. The source material is so good. It's hard to screw something up like that. And I think that this is held to such a high standard, not just because of a video game movie, but because people are expecting some type of like, you know, Indiana Jones shenanigans or something. It's not that. I think that this movie's going to be good to a very a niche of people, and I hope that that's enough to make it successful.
Well, it's funny you should say that because Polygon in their review, you know, kind of referenced Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade as far as being somewhat modeled, you know, after, as far as the movie is concerned, which to me is a bad sign because Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade is to me the worst. The last Indiana Jones film was pretty close to it, but yeah, the Crusade, Last Crusade, was really just a poor film indeed. But I will say this, that it is, to me, from all appearances, because of the actual upfront review scores and kind of lack of buzz that I hear about it, especially with two, again, solid, not upper echelon, but solid movies coming out. Although Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One could be something that breaks out as a hit, of the three movies, I think that would probably be the biggest money I'd have on either of them. Maybe Pacific Rim Uprising after that. But of the three, yes, Tomb Raider looks like the one that's going to perform the least because of the timing, placing where it's at, and the fact that within 3 weeks, it might just be forgotten about, especially because Black Panther still has great legs as far as a movie is concerned.
And that makes me sad. That really does. Well, I mean, I'm going to go see it this weekend so we can, you know, we'll reconvene here on Sunday to, or, you know, for the Monday show to see where I'm currently standing with that. But no, that makes me sad. It does, because this is, you know, we're finally venturing outside of, we're getting a movie release that looks exciting, that ventures outside of Marvel, Disney, you know, franchise based, I guess. And it's like, it's not an original concept, but it's sort of, it's something different. And that's what I want to see. Like I want to see that be successful, so we get more things like that. So I mean, I got to see the movie before I could really like lay into it like that. But you know, I'm still hoping that it's good. And if I go in there and like it, then I'm going to have some good things to say about it when we talk next.
I hope so. I think it probably will still garner. It's estimating that it's going to probably get around maybe $25 million in its first weekend, maybe a little more. I hope it does that. I think it probably will. From my estimation, it looks like it's going to make in that realm. So at least it'll have a decent first week, but whether or not it sustains any kind of rhythm, I truly don't think it will, because of the fact, like I said, with Black Panther still doing well at the box office, plus you have two other movies that could do well in its own right that are right after it. People are going to forget about Tomb Raider coming out within a short period of time. And that's going to be, like you said, that's very sad for the movie itself.
Yeah, and it's not just the fact that, my earlier statement that it's somewhat original, but it's sad because, if this is the trend, if we have movies like Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, Star Wars, like one of those coming out, one or two of those movies coming out every quarter, there really is no hope for anything else to do well in the box office because, like you said, with Black Panther still doing so well, nobody's going to want to go see any of these other movies. They will go see them, but they're not going to earn the potential. They're not going to reach the potential they have for earning. And so that just, I don't know, man. Like it seems like because of the juggernaut. Hold on. Sorry.
Sorry, man. The door closing. It's like in my house when the door closes, boom. Right next to me here, it's like my mic will pick up everything.
Yeah, I didn't see. I actually wasn't paying attention to the door opening.
No worries.
All right, so yeah, no, it's sad because of the juggernaut that is Marvel, Disney, whatever. That if they have one or two of those movies come out every quarter, like that's going to be tough for any other movie that wants to compete with that. Because, like you said, with Black Panther, it's still doing so well. So we come up here. Avengers Infinity War, Star Wars, there's always going to be something like that coming out and dwarfing these other movies that have the potential to do good. And it's also raising the standard on what action movies are supposed to be, which is sad because, these lower tier action movies like Tomb Raider, they're not going to reach the audience and the explosion quota that, like a Marvel or Star Wars film is going to have. So it's just the bigger Disney gets, the more diminished the rest of the industry becomes.
I couldn't agree with you more. So I think if this movie has any hope of actually achieving any kind of success financially, it's going to have to get it back within the home video and Blu-ray market. And then it really has to be pushed, I think probably right around the time that the actual next iteration in the series, as far as the video game is concerned, the next Tomb Raider game comes out. Let me see, what's it called? Shadows of the Tomb Raider, or what's it called?
Yeah, it's Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
That's what I thought. So the next game in the next iteration in the game series, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, comes out in September. Now, speaking of Tomb Raider, you and I both saw the teaser for Shadow of the Tomb Raider and the announcement that a full trailer will be coming out next month, over a month away. Will be coming out over a month away. What were your thoughts when you saw that? It was okay. That's fine that the game is not coming out till September, but to have the actual trailer not come out for additional 6 weeks after this teaser, was that really smart in planning as far as any type of marketing at all, as far as having to make people wait just another 6 weeks for even a trailer to drop?
Okay, so my thoughts on that, I've been thinking about this a lot today. I think that they dropped this teaser to counteract any negative feedback that might be associated with the movie.
Well, I know it was the movie related. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you on that, but it just, yeah.
And like we all knew the game was coming out. They haven't really been like very secretive about what the game's called or what the game's going to entail. We know that it's the last part of the origin story of Lara Croft. And I get like, I've been hearing a lot of people say, why aren't they releasing this trailer at E3? But the thing is, like, E3 is more for like, big franchises or games that need to be established. Whereas, Tomb Raider, it already has a fan base. It kind of, I guess it underperformed in terms of what the company wanted it to do, but it still has like a very loyal following. And, do we need a teaser for it right now? No, but is it good to have like a solid like release window for the game? Yeah, I think so. I don't know. What do you think? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'll just say this. We've talked about this before in the past when it comes to Square Enix. They have some very unrealistic expectations for Hitman and also as well Tomb Raider. I mean, they've admitted in the past that they held what one of the series in the Tomb Raider series that since the reboot was supposed to sell like 7 million copies within a certain amount of time, and asking for that is unfair because they won't do that for their own titles. They don't set those same kind of expectations for their other titles that are, released from Japan or issued to other markets. Just the fact that these Tomb Raider and also as well Hitman series, which they've had for so long. Did they give up IO Interactive or something like that after the latest Hitman? Not quite sure, even though that was a resounding critical success as well.
They got rid of IO Interactive, but I'm pretty sure that they also got rid of Hitman because IO Interactive took Hitman with them.
Yeah, and then they dropped the title because it didn't meet their expectations, even though it was a solid seller and also very, very critically well received. Same thing goes for Tomb Raider, that they have these unreal expectations to hit on such a high level, and when it hits at a very good level, that's not good enough. So don't get me started on that because it really just irritates me to no end that if it's not a Final Fantasy for them, that they just have these real very unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And like even in the past, some of their Final Fantasy games haven't exactly done what they wanted to. What's interesting about this one is not being developed by, what was the company that did the other one? The last one. I'm having a brain fart here.
Crystal Dynamics.
Crystal Dynamics. Yeah, this one's not being developed by Crystal Dynamics. It's being developed by another company under Square's reign because Crystal Dynamics is working on the Avengers game. So, the way the trailer looked, like this game definitely, like, judging by the cinematics, like this game definitely has a more a grittier look to it. So, now I'm hyped about the trailer. The full trailer when it comes out. What are we looking at here? It's March, so yeah, we got a while till September, but
the trailer doesn't even drop out for 6 weeks, and that to me is really disappointing. That's just not how best to market a video game, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get the trailer out, and then they want to make it playable, or they want to maybe. My predictions are going to show some gameplay at E3, whether in the press conference or on the floor. It could be timed better, but I'm glad to know that it's happening.
Well, this may not be the best of times for. Well, this may not be the best of times for Tomb Raider because if it's being done by someone other than Crystal Dynamics, that's not always the greatest sign when another studio gets a hold of a IP. You and I both have seen it where track records like that haven't worked out always to the greatest of fruition, and then this movie Tomb Raider that hits this weekend, the signs early on show that it's going to have a rough time for the next few weeks for this version of Lara Croft. What are your thoughts on the Tomb Raider movie? Are you excited to see it? Are you glad to see it come out? Have you been maybe just a little bit apprehensive about going because of the advanced reviews and the advanced buzz or lack thereof? Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, like I said, we're going to have a great episode. We've got Rob McCallum, Jessica Boggs from the TV Ratings Guide. Both of them are coming up later in the show, plus Josh and I are going to be talking 31 hours of Marvel. Could we take it? We're going to answer that question and a whole lot more. Plus, we're going to eulogize Toys R Us as well. But first, we've got Josh's good friend. It's Chad. It's Hyperschmidt, and he does a cover of the great 80s song When in Rome's The Promise. Here it is from Hyperschmidt. You can find out more information on their on his YouTube channel, Hyperschmidt, HYPERSCHMITT. And this is a cover, once again, of When in Rome's The Promise. This is the PCC Multiverse. We're back, and it's more of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glasser from the Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly want to thank you for sticking around and being part of the program. Well, once again, if for some reason you cannot catch here where you're listening now, the Pop Culture Cosmos on Mondays or the PCC Multiverse that comes out on Fridays, hey, it's no problem, because our shows are being streamed on online radio stations 7 days a week, whether it's airwave radio in the UK, also as well Good Talk Radio, also as well the Podcast Radio Network, our original home, Croc Radio, Gray Cloud Radio, IPM Nation, the Western Digital Reserve Broadcasting Network, Gray Cloud Radio again, Western Reserve again right after that, and then a Friday we've got between all those stations, we've got seven great online radio stations that will really guess, you're going to, I'm going to start over again. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos. We truly just cannot thank you enough for sticking around and enjoying the show. Before we get to our rest in peace for Toys R Us, just want to let you know, if for some reason you can't check out the show on the format you're listening to now for regular updates or our show when it drops on Monday or Friday, no problem. We are on 7 great online radio stations. Each and every day of the week, we're being streamed somewhere by one of these great stations. Airwave Radio in the UK, Good Talk Radio out of Arizona, the Podcast Radio Network, our original home, Croc Radio, Gray Cloud Radio, the Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting Network, or IPM Nation on their IPM Nation 1 channel. For the days, times, and complete listings, you just want to check out our Facebook site, Pop Culture Cosmos, and it has it right there for you. Plus, also as well, our shows are available to download at any point in time. We've got new episodes hitting every Monday and Friday. But if you just want to go ahead and download at your convenience, subscribe to any one of these networks. Subscribe to the Pop Culture Cosmos channel on any one of these networks, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Podchaser, Podbean, Anchor, Mixcloud, the ESO network, the Tangibound network, the Gunny Geek network as well. Actually, there's so many of them. We at least know of 20 different podcast networks that we're on that you can download the show at any point in time. Josh right here not only works with the Pop Culture Cosmos, but he also has a great experience of his own called Humanica Media. So Josh, you got to give me an update on what's going on with everything at Humanica Media.
Okay, literally like 3 minutes ago, a new episode of the Super BS Games Cast dropped, so you can check that out now. Talking about the Nintendo Direct and some of the great things coming out in the gaming industry. Also, there's going to be a new episode of What About This on Monday, and then we did drop a new Topicocalypse yesterday where we're talking about rejection and the most awkward things that we've done to impress women. So I would definitely recommend checking that out because it is awkward and good to listen to. So yeah, and
you will not have me part of that episode. Let's put it that way, because I will probably wreck the show.
Yeah. We knew not to ask Gerald because we didn't want to. We didn't have that much time to podcast.
True, this is true. I can tell you some stories, young man.
But yeah, so you can also check us out on the Podcast Radio Network every Tuesday nights.
That's exactly indeed. It is the Attack of the Humanicans at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Podcast Radio Network, or all of his great shows are available on the Humanica Media Networks on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, and also YouTube as well. So Josh, I heard the troubling news, but it's not something that was unexpected because they were really in a do or die format come this past holiday. And unfortunately, it looks like it was a die holiday because Toys R Us, it was announced, is closing and liquidating all of its supplies and closing its roughly 800 stores in the United States, plus also as well in the Europe, UK, Great Britain area as well. They're closing all those stores as well. So pretty much as an entity, Toys R Us will probably be a name and name only. My friend, I could tell you as someone who has experienced Toys R Us for pretty much almost 50 years of his life, closing in on it per se, it was something that was always special to me every time I went in, whether or not I was searching for a toy, for a gift, or whatnot, or even back in the memories when I used to go and get stuff there, which I'll probably elaborate on here in a little bit. But first, I want to hit you, my friend, up with this. What are your thoughts about Toys R Us being, I guess, another great catastrophe and a great, a lot of collateral damage in the advancement as far as the modernization of retail is concerned? And what are your thoughts on? Do you have any memories yourself of Toys R Us and what it meant to you as a Toys R Us kid?
Hold on, there's an airplane going over my house. Can you hear it?
Actually, a little bit faint. It's very faint.
Okay, because it's like starting to go. Okay. Yeah, no, I've been reading about this all day. I was actually just at Toys R Us yesterday because I was hoping that, I was hoping the rumors weren't true, but on the off chance they were, and they happen to have a bunch of stuff for like 40% off, I was totally down to go buy some video games and some collector action figures for my collection. But no, man, it's sad because like as a kid, I remember like KB Toys and Walden Books and stores like that. Those were always like my favorite places to go into. Like, I'd go to KB Toys to pick up a new Transformer, Nintendo 64 game, or even farther back, Sega Genesis, Dragon Ball Z toys, stuff like that. And then I'd go into Walden Books, pick up Animorphs or Goosebumps or whatever I happen to be reading in the 3rd grade, and then these stores just disappear, man, one after another, and like all the things that made the mall so great when you're a kid just vanished. And then Toys R Us was like it was the outlier, you'd often have to go outside the mall to get to one, but once you were there, like this was everything. Like this was everything a kid could ever want was in this store. And yeah, I get like a lot of people are saying like the reason they're doing so bad or they were doing so bad is because they're trying to give a Target experience, but they didn't have the staff and they didn't have, it's kind of like being alone in a warehouse full of toys. But that was awesome to me. You could go in there, you could play with things, you could pick it up, you can like see what size it is. Because you have action figures now, stuff from like Warner Brothers, especially like their Star Wars, Justice League. The action figures come in like 12 different sizes, so you don't know which one you want, which one you're collecting, and then everyone's like, you can go on Amazon now and get this stuff. But like I said, you don't know what size it is. You don't know like if this is part of the collection you have or what's going on with this. Whereas you go into Toys R Us, you could play with all this stuff and you could browse and you could find stuff that maybe you didn't know you were interested in. And I'm gonna miss it, man. And like every during the holidays they had that buy one get one 40% off deal for video games. And like even when I went in there to buy stuff for my nephew, like I would spend at least $20 on myself. And that's like anytime I had an excuse to go into Toys R Us, I would take that excuse and go into Toys R Us. So yeah, it's sad, man. And like I hope that maybe they'll leave a few stores open, like maybe in highly populated areas. That way, that might be a good like keep it as like a novelty, so people still want to go into these places. But it bums me out, man. It really does.
It bums me out too. Even during the holiday season, my family and I, when we went shopping at Toys R Us, actually got wind of a great sale on board games, and we were able to pick up some cool board games while we were there because they were at very, very reasonable prices. And to see the company fall, it was just a matter of time, it seemingly, because when it came to the Toys to Life, they dedicated so much space in the store to the Toys to Life series, whether it be Skylanders, Infinity, also Lego Dimensions and whatnot, and to see those shelves less than 2 years later becomes shelves full of clearance products from it, that just told me the sign that people don't like to go and actually, for the most part, go into these stores and actually shop and do the things that you said you like to do and the things that I like to do when I was a kid. And I used to think it was so awesome driving up to a Toys R Us with a big old Jeffrey Giraffe, looking over you and already going in there and just having such a good time because you go there and you spend $40, $50 or whatnot, but you play and you handle and you toss around and you start throwing around and you start playing with and you start utilizing and you start using maybe about $100, $200 worth of stuff while you're there. You just gotta feel everything out that you're like, oh, that's cool. I think I'll just play with this for a while. Oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, I can still toss around. Oh, here's a football. I'll throw that over there. Oh, here's a ball. Yeah, hey, down there. And then of course the video game is always behind the cabinet and you had to take the little tag and I will miss that because they're pretty much the last to really utilize that service. There's not really any other type that I remember. Service Merchandise and a couple others utilized that in the 80s to give you an idea when that really started becoming popular. So it's just a disappointment to me that it met its maker and that it really didn't find its way and find its niche in a modern format or a modern time, that it actually got bowled over by the Walmarts, the Targets, and most importantly, the Amazons of the world, and that they weren't able to adapt to a modern format like so many other retailers are following the same path. Kmart, Sears, they're all dying. JCPenney is also dying a quick death, and so many others are going to be following suit, as Toys R Us. And it's just, I guess, our fascination now as consumers that we just want to go ahead with ease of use and just do a couple clicks on our computer screen rather than just going down and experiencing and actually interacting with some of these toys and things of that nature, and pretend for even just a moment like we're a Toys R Us kid one last time.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. Like, this whole thing with online shopping, like it's nice. Yeah, it's nice for entertainment products. Like if I want a book or a comic book or a graphic novel or a Blu-ray, or if I want to buy an anime box set, heck yeah, I'm gonna go onto Amazon because it's cheaper. But like when it comes to Toys R Us, not only had like toys, but they had collector's items, they had video games. You could buy like bicycles. Like there's not, you go to Target now, you can't buy bicycles there anymore. Walmart still has some, but like for the most part, you have to go to like a specialty bike shop or you have to order online, and there's not a lot of specialty bike shops around anymore. So I don't know, man. It's just it's sad, and it's probably a trend. Like we say that Toys R Us is being taken out by Target and Walmart, but how long until Target or Walmart closes down? And Target is seemingly invincible right now, so I think that Walmart will go before Target does. But
I disagree with you on that. I think the world's largest retailer, Walmart, still has a say as far as the world's largest retailer that actually has physical stores. I think that will probably stay around longer than Target would.
Yeah, I mean, because I just like down here, we don't have like a whole lot. We have Walmarts, but we don't have them, as frequently as a lot of other places do. We have more Targets. Like I drive anywhere I go, I always see like a Target going in somewhere.
I'll tell you, in Vegas, it's the exact opposite. There's Walmarts everywhere, and Targets are limited as far as the number of places which they're at. There's still probably about half a dozen to maybe 10, and about half a dozen in the city, but they're trounced by the number of Walmarts here. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I'm from California, so I know that the Walmarts there are limited, and the growth of Walmarts has been very slow in that market. But outside of that market, Walmart is just dominating pretty much almost across the board. But you're right, even though Walmart and Walmart.com, and they've made a fierce attempt to compete with Amazon, it's still quite a competition between those three entities. But it seems like another case of the big fish eating the little fish. But you said it yourself, specialty stores going down. Another one bites the dust. Specialty anything as far as stores are concerned and retail is concerned is probably in great danger because of what the Walmart.coms, Targets.com, and Amazon.coms, and all these, even the physical stores, what those three can do. Specialty stores are in jeopardy because of those big three.
Yeah, like in the 90s, that was the time, man. You had the malls filled with bookstores and toy stores, and you had Suncoast Videos. Like that was the time to be alive. And like, you know, you'd watch the movies from the 90s, the Christmas Vacation and stuff like that. They'd always show them shopping in malls, and you know, did their Macy's and their J.C. Penney's and stuff like that. I miss those days, man. I miss them so much. Like
well, I miss it actually even more in the 80s when you had all those stores. Plus, and I was going to go ask you if, off camera, if you wanted to go ahead and talk about this at some point later down the line about the nostalgia of arcades in the mall experience, where you had huge arcades inside every single shopping mall, and that was a must. And that was a place as far as for kids, as teenagers, whatnot, to be hanging out and to have a great time. And that part is definitely gone by the wayside at your nearest shopping mall near you.
See, I caught the end of that fad. Like I got to play some arcades and it was fun, but like I never had an abundance of quarters to let me go in there and spend like longer than 20 minutes playing a game.
Oh, but I did.
Well, it's funny because I just got done reading Ready Player One, and I was just kind of wanting to experience that. But
it was fun. I can assure you, it was a tremendous experience indeed.
But yeah, man, it's you know, I was just at the mall today buying shoes, and it's like down in Westminster. I don't know if you've ever been down here when you're living in SoCal, but they used to have, like, there used to be like video game stores, there was toy stores, there's like a off-brand bookstores. They had Miss Fields cookies, they had you know, they had like Payless, and they had hat stores and stuff like that. But now a majority of the stores in here are like their anime stores or their shoe stores. And so like if you want either of those things, you're fine. They have a Hot Topic still, but like there's not really any reason to go to the mall anymore. I remember being a kid and the mall just be, even on like non-holiday days, like it was still packed, but you go in there now and there's like nobody there. There's no reason to go in there.
I know it's just a shame, but I'll close off this segment with just a little song if I can. Just humor me one moment. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. Goodbye, Toys R Us. Rest in peace.
You're making me cry.
I know. But the show must go on. So, after all that, what are your thoughts on the death of Toys R Us and pretty much the dying entity known as retail? Are you sad about it? Is this, you know, do you have some special memories of Toys R Us? Is something that, you know, is Toys R Us something, does Toys R Us represent something to you as far as your childhood is concerned? Or do you see it as something that, hey, it's something that's gone by the wayside in the case of progress, you know, that needs to come through as far as online shopping and bigger retail outlets are concerned? Or is the death of specialty retail stores something that hits you and hits you hard? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Twitter as well. And Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. Well, we've got Jessica Boggs from the TV Ratings Guide. She's coming up right here, right after the break, talking about a lot of great shows that are either doing very well or doing not so well and could be, you know, at any moment on the cancellation line. She's going to be talking about shows that you know, really touch her heart, and shows that really she's keen on as far as what's going on within the TV ratings world right after the break. This is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back to close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glasser from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. Thanks so much for sticking around and enjoying the program. And we just truly want to thank, as always, Rob McCallum from robmccallumfilms.com. You want to check out all of his great stuff in there. You want to check out all of his great projects he's got there. Thank him so much for being part of the Cosmic Crossfire. And of course, also as well, Jessica Boggs from TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to check out for all the latest updates and news on the TV ratings scene, plus great reviews, articles, and also great projects such as their TV originals. You got to check out their site, TVRatingsGuide.com. Josh, it was just announced that just before the awesome movie, The Avengers Infinity War, hits on the 27th, that selected, I think it's AMC theaters, if I'm not mistaken. You might want to check just to make sure, but I think it's AMC theaters. They are running, well, if you pay for it, a 31-hour Marvel Cinematic Universe marathon before the actual movie takes place to set you up if you really want the movie experience of a lifetime. So I ask you, Josh, you and I are both fans of the series. You and I are both big fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We pretty much talk about it every single week right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos. I got to ask you, do you really want to buy a ticket and sit through 31 hours straight of Marvel Cinematic Universe? Would you even enjoy the Infinity War even after all that?
No, because, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, I'm having a hard time just getting through all of the Marvel movies, just watching them sporadically up until Infinity War. And as often is the case with, with marathoning things, by the time I get to the one that I want to watch, I am slightly bored of it, and I will go and watch it, and I just don't even want to think about it because I'm so tired of it. I'll be like, all right, so this was the moment I've been waiting for. And then when the film's over, I don't want to think about that franchise for at least another year. So, no, I wouldn't sit there in a movie theater for 30 hours. One, I don't have that kind of time. And two, there's really just like, I go through and I watch these Marvel movies, and there's some that I would just prefer not to watch. Like, I'm glad that I've seen them, but I just prefer not to watch them again. Like, Incredible Hulk, I could do without. And the problem with being in a movie theater is you can't skip. You can't skip through things because you're like, this is monotonous. I don't need to see this. And you don't have a remote that lets you go to the next scene. And then also they would have to adhere to their reserved seating policies, because I can only imagine that like people just be walking in and out of that thing during the day. But no, I couldn't watch 30 hours of Marvel films. Everyone says that. It's like that whole idea, like, hey, let's go wait outside of a store on Black Friday. It's going to be fun. And then, you're sitting out there at like 4 a.m, freezing your backside off.
Yes, in 30-degree weather, as my wife and I have done on more than one occasion. Yes, I know this all too well.
Yeah. So you're like, this is such a great idea. And then, the time comes when you're actually doing it. You miss Thanksgiving dinner. You're freezing. You wish you'd go home and sleep. And it's just like, okay, maybe this wasn't such a great idea. That's the same thing with watching 30 hours in a row of Marvel films.
Well, I will tell you this. There was one time where actually my wife and I split up. She and her sister and her boyfriend went to the Best Buy sale on the other side of the shopping area, and I went to Walmart, which they didn't know had changed their policy and put everybody inside, which they now do still today for their Black Fridays. So, and it was a day, it was in the high 20s or 30s here in Las Vegas. It was very cold. And a couple hours in, I got the call from my wife. How you doing, honey? How you doing? I'm doing okay. How are you doing? I'm so cold, so cold, so cold, so cold, so cold. Wait, what's that sound I hear? Oh, I'm doing just fine because I'm inside. And oh my gosh, they were just not too thrilled that they were the ones out there suffering, and I was nice and cozy, warm inside the Walmart. But be that as it may, I hear you. It's true, and you're gonna, when you're gonna get involved with a 31-hour marathon such as the Marvel Cinematic Universe and get involved, you're not going to enjoy it by the time you just, like you said, we want to get it over with, and you're not going to end up actually enjoying the Infinity War. You probably won't have the energy left to get psyched up for it, and you'll probably have to go to the theaters to watch it again when you're a lot fresher. And speaking of fresher, a lot of people really won't smell too fresh after 31 hours sitting next to you in those.
Oh, jeez. If you've ever been to Comic-Con, you know that that's a fact.
If you've ever been to the local health club and just walked down the aisle, you'll know that's a fact as well. But be that as it may, it's just, yeah, the funk that be going around after 31 hours. My gosh, the first thing that they're going to have to do after each and every movie is just, spread the Febreze all around to make sure that everybody, gets a whiff of that, and gets the idea that maybe they should have, adhered to better hygiene before they stepped into a 31-hour marathon with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What are your thoughts on the 31-hour marathon that AMC Movie Theaters is now offering right before Infinity War starts? Are you psyched for it? Did you buy tickets for it? Are you very interested in actually going through a 31-hour marathon of the Marvel Cinematic Universe before the actual movie takes place? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, and Game Source on Facebook and Twitter as well. And we'll ask you to not, you would just send your thoughts, but not the funk that might go with sitting out 31 hours, in a movie theater that you get the popcorn. Yeah, 31 hours and your only source of food is hot dogs, maybe some chicken wings and some popcorn. I don't know, man. That's not living healthy, but there are people going to do it. That's why they're offering it.
I would hate to have to be the one cleaning the bathrooms that day.
Oh my goodness gracious! You are right. You're right. I know someone who does. I know someone who we talked to that's on the show that has been on the show that does, and I'm hoping he has that day off. Let's just put it that way. Josh, any last thoughts on the way out? Man, this whole funk scene is just, I'm getting all this funk. I need some Febreze right now, just even thinking about it.
Yeah, I know you talked to Rob about the Fantastic Beasts trailer, but as a huge Harry Potter fan, I want to say that I did like the trailer. I did have some, well, I don't know if I liked the trailer, but I like the concept of the movie. But
I said, that's what I said to Rob. I said, I like the first movie. I do not really, in particularly, I could care either way on the actual Harry Potter's movies themselves, but Fantastic Beasts movie, original one, I kind of like. And the second one, I'm kind of looking forward to, but that trailer just stunk.
Yeah, no, I mean, the trailer gave just enough away to make me be like, oh, I'm going to go research some internet articles about this. But my question to you is this. You've seen the first, you've seen all the Harry Potter movies, I'm sure. So
yeah.
Hermione in the book says that there are things put in place against allowing wizards to apparate into Hogwarts. And before this even flew around the internet, that was the first thing that I saw when I saw this trailer, was how are they able to do this? And, they did a good job in the trailer of making you wonder why they're trying to stop Newt, or who those people were or whatever. But there's some questions that I have. So I'm hoping that maybe J.K. Rowling didn't ruin her own continuity just for the sake of creating a new continuity. So, here's to hoping that something good comes out of this somewhat bad trailer.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's the Hobbit series made $3 billion. So that's, if anybody's asking why they did it, like I said earlier with Rob, it's all about the cashola. In fact, why is Amazon reaching in and spending $500 million on the Lord of the Rings TV series? It's about the cashola that they'll probably get in return. So
that's actually canon, I'm hearing. So I'm actually kind of excited about that.
We'll talk about that in an upcoming episode as far as the Lord of the Rings TV series is concerned. But I heard that number is just oh, man. But be that as it may, I kind of do still want to see the film Fantastic Beasts. But to be honest with you, Josh, I'd kind of rather see, as I told Rob, more interested in a Harry Potter when he's older, pulling the wand out of the attic type deal to fight off whatever evil spirit or evil witch or magician that comes out that's ready to, or wizard that's ready to come out as far as that point in time. So
it's going to be Hugh Jackman or Edward Norton. We don't know because those two movies get confused.
Pretty much, yeah. But I tell you that is more interest to me as far as something that would take place. But the Fantastic Beasts movie is actually, to me, a little bit more interesting than any of the Harry Potter movies before it.
Right, and here's the thing: I'm excited either way, just to be able to return to that world, because that between Lord of the Rings, cool, Harry Potter was the first time I remember actually being fully immersed into a new world. And as for the Harry Potter thing, from what I understand, Warner Brothers purchased the rights to the Cursed Child film. So I'm sure once it makes its Broadway run and we're done with Fantastic Beasts, they'll find a way to make that happen.
Well, as long as they do it, well, like you said, Harry Potter and obviously Hermione and Ron, they're all in real life reaching an age where they're getting kind of closer to it. They still look kind of young, a little bit too young for it. So maybe in about 10 years, they will probably be perfect for the Cursed Child as far as coming to the screen, and maybe putting that into, of course, it can't be just one. It's got to be a trilogy. So because again,
and it'll probably have very little to do with the actual screenplay, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'd be something totally different. But if it has JK's blessing, and then it also has the payola, then that's pretty much what it's all about. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the pop culture. In the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.